welcome to the Redefine Podcast. All right, welcome back to the show. Thanks for tuning in. Today, I am actually recording this episode down on our vineyard. That's right. For those of you who listen to the podcast version of this, I encourage you to go check us out on the YouTube. It's well, as of right now, it's Path of the Network Marketer still. I haven't changed it over. So you can search for Ronnie Cruz, Path of the Network Marketer, or Ronnie Cruz Podcast, Ronnie Cruz Network Marketer. I'll eventually transition all this stuff over to Redefine, but I haven't gotten to YouTube yet. It's coming, guys. But point is, you can search for it. It's still Path of the Network Marketer. But I want you to check it out whenever you get a chance so that you can see this part of the property. And as I've promised before, I will show more and more of the property as the weather gets warmer. Down in this certain area, or this area of the property, we started establishing a vineyard in 2020, right? Pandemic hit, I found myself home. I couldn't travel, whereas before I was pretty much traveling, 2, sometimes 3 times a month to stay in the field and to support the organization. So I found myself home with a lot more time to devote to something that we had already, originally planned anyways. But again, because of my travel and work schedule, I was never able to get around to it until pandemic. So pandemic, I was able to devote a lot of time to establishing this small vineyard, and it's very much a work in progress. The plants are, they're going to be 3 this year. So this will be the 3rd season that these particular plants have been in the field. And so I like to come down here this time of year, all year, but this is the first time I'm visiting the vineyard since last fall. This completely goes dormant. There's no reason to visit down here until the weather starts getting warm. And so I come here mid-April to check on things, make sure the plants are okay, that they survived through the winter, that nothing broke. And so as an episode, the metaphor is, of course, sowing and reaping, right? It's the whole farmer analogy metaphor that's so applicable in so many ways to entrepreneurism and really to so many things in life, right? The reaping and the sowing, the time it takes to harvest, the saving at least 10% of your harvest, right? There's so many great principles that you can glean. There's another pun there, that you can glean from working the land, right? And I've always been the type to love getting my hands dirty, getting my hands into the ground and working and growing agriculture, even just like flowers. When this goes back to, my childhood years when I would spend a lot of time in the garden. So it was something that I think set me up for the proper kind of sensibilities for not just network marketing, for entrepreneurism, for online marketing, for social media content creation and generating organic traffic. Now, if we look at these very young grape plants, one of the things that I know can happen over the winter, because we get high winds here. Of course, the branches are dormant and they go brittle. Since they're so young and so thin, they can break, and it's starting all over again, right? I'm trying to train them to go up to the trellis. And so, there's this up and down, there's this roller coaster ride of 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And again, very much the same with entrepreneurism, very much the same with content creation and online marketing. There's things that you're creating that you see get a lot of traction, get a lot of engagement, get a lot of views. And then overnight, with things like the algorithm change and whatever else is going on in the world and with social media platforms, that can completely disappear. One of the most stark examples of that is when Facebook and Instagram went down for a few days, and people whose business was entirely reliant on those social platforms, their business disappeared for a couple of days, right? And then to have to kind of rebuild that traction afterwards, it was a tough situation. So it's one of those things, right? Like it can be going your way one day and completely go south the next. And same thing, right? Same thing with this vineyard. Like one of my biggest fears coming here this time of year is that the the plants have snapped on their main branch, and now I have to retrain it all over again. Spend another entire year retraining it to climb up to the trellis, and a lot of things like that, right? And of course, obviously, the fact that it's a long-term play, right? The plants themselves, I don't think will even start producing. Well, it's taken me up to 3 years to get some of them even up to the trellis, and it's going to be probably another, 2 to 3 after that, once they're on the trellis, for them to actually start producing viable fruit, fruit to eat and fruit to do whatever with. I definitely want to try my hand in making my own wine. But it's a long-term play, and I knew that in 2020 when I started, when I did the labor-intensive work of establishing this vineyard in the first place, right? Putting in these posts in the ground. I mean, each post is at least 2 feet deep. That's a lot of digging. It's a lot of digging, and not to mention the concrete, the 50-pound bags of concrete that I had to haul down here and pour and all that stuff. So it was labor intensive at the beginning, with also knowing that it's still going to take 5 to 10 years before the fruits of that labor ever come into fruition, right? Same thing with content creation. Same thing with network marketing. I mean, hopefully it doesn't take you 10 years to gain any traction and momentum with your online marketing, but understand that it is going to take time, right? It's going to take time. And so you have to develop that persistence. You have to develop that perseverance. The results that you hope for are not going to be immediate, right? And so you just have to keep plugging away. You have to keep showing up every day, and bringing content that of value to the table in order for that momentum, in order for that traction to really take hold. Long-term play. I mean, again, so many metaphors with growing and agriculture, and establishing a vineyard, even just hobby gardening, right? I have vegetable garden that I'm finally just starting to establish for the season up closer to the house. It's an activity. I mean, not just from a business standpoint, but from a food standpoint too. I encourage you to get your hands in the ground and start trying to grow your own food, because then you actually develop a deeper relationship with the food that you're consuming. But definitely from a business standpoint, from an entrepreneurism standpoint, it's important. It helps you really kind of develop the persistence, the perseverance, the patience, and the other mindsets that are really important and key to building a long-term business that's meant to last, right? It's a crazy journey. Online marketing especially, it's an up and down roller coaster ride, and getting your hands in the dirt, being out in the garden really helps you zen out and develop that peace and persistence and that patience. So that's it. That's what I wanted to share with you. Lots of parallels and metaphors and analogies from in between. Sorry, here comes the wind. That's why I'm spinning around. For those of you watching the video, I'm spinning around because I'm trying to avoid the breeze. But yeah, a lot of analogies between growing things in the garden and growing your business. So that's the message for today. Hope that makes sense. If not, more to come from me very, very soon. You can follow, well, if you're not already following, right, go ahead and follow the show. Hit that plus button at the top of whatever app you happen to be listening on. And of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and hit me with a thumbs up and a subscribe. Leave me some comments if you want to leave some comments, or if you have any questions about any of what I talked about today or in any previous episode. So that's it. More from me tomorrow. So until then, be well, be safe. We'll see you in the next episode.